PSG spent over €2 billion to try and build the best team in the world, one that wins the Champions League over and over, but somehow they've fallen short. In fact, they haven't even come close to building the best team in the world. Despite the French team outspending every other club in Europe by a lot, they've constantly stumbled, choked, and wasted away every chance to win the European crown. So how did we get here? How did a team with the financial backing of an entire country fail to build a contending team? Well, because this man has made wrong choice after wrong choice. Today we will go over how the PSG project collapsed. 2011, Qatar Sports Investment purchases PSG, €100 million for 100% ownership. A huge investment opportunity as they purchased the only major football club in one of the biggest cities in the world, Paris. Their goal was simple. According to now President Nasser al-Khelaifi, in 5 years we want to be one of the best clubs in Europe and to win the Champions League and our brand to be worth €1 billion. PSG didn't have the most history behind them. They weren't a very big club, but were in a massive city. This was their chance to dominate France. It didn't take QSI long to start spending. In fact, in their first 3 seasons as owners, they spent €400 million on transfers alone. That was more than Lille, Lyon, Marseille and Monaco combined. In fact, it was more than any other team in Europe. They brought in the likes of Javier Pastore, Thiago Silva, Zlatan, David Beckham, Cavani and Marquinhos. Their team went from mid-table to back-to-back champions in year 2 and 3. With domestic dominance achieved so quickly into the project, they still had European dominance on their mind. Their early Champions League campaigns didn't go all too wrong. Back-to-back quarter-final exits to Barcelona and Chelsea in 2013 and 14, losing both 3-3 on away goals was harsh, but it showed they could be competitive with Europe's elites, and it was time to build on that. All the while, they kept growing their commercial brand. PSG soon became one of the most popular teams in the world. Signing huge superstars like Zlatan and David Beckham did wonders for their marketing campaign. Just like that, PSG went from a team no one cared about to one everyone wanted to watch. However, Nasser was focused on winning the Champions League. Laurent Blanc was manager from 2014 to 2016, won 11 out of 12 domestic trophies and gave them the best Ligue 1 season in history. But their 2015-16 UCL campaign saw them get knocked out to Man City in the quarters 3-2. So Nasser al-Khelaifi sacked Laurent Blanc. Winning domestically was expected. They were quadruple the value of any other team in France. But losing to a Man City team you're better than was enough for Blanc to go. The coach is always the first to get backlash after failings on the pitch, but the PSG hierarchy routinely showed how incompetent they were. Heading into the 16-17 season, the board let their all-time leading scorer Zlatan go to United on a free, which raised the question of why they were so bad at selling players for a profit and why their recruitment was so bad in the first place. They lost €11 million on Kabay, who was at the club for just 2 years. They lost €25 million on Lavezzi after 3 years and $15 million on David Luiz after 2 years. It gets worse. Jesse was bought for €25 million, started 1 game, then left on a free. Krishabiak for nearly $30 million, started 7 games, then left for €10 million. Even Hatem Ben Arfa they bought on a free, paid him near €200,000 a week, who then sat out for 2 years before being released. It was turning into a massive problem, throwing money at signings that don't make any sense for the team or tactically, then selling them for a fraction of the price, while the team just gets worse. And the 16-17 season was the highlight of incompetence for the team. Unai Emery was made head coach to try and bring some European success. They faced Barcelona in the round of 16. PSG surprisingly won the first leg 4-0 at home and were basically set to reach another quarterfinals. Barcelona needed a miracle to come back against them in Spain.
That's what he does. Neymar to take it. That was like a tracer bullet. Goalkeeper doesn't skip it. And scores. 5-1. That means the scores are level. Neymar. Chips it forward into the Ronaldo! It's done it! Can you believe this?
They lost 6-1 in the most embarrassing comeback loss in Champions League history. To add salt to the wounds, PSG, in a league where they are the undeniable powerhouse, lost the league to AS Monaco that year by 8 points. PSG simply had too many overarching problems. Their recruitment was a joke. They had zero domestic competition, leading to complacency and a lack of motivation, which directly hurt them in the Champions League. Plus, a terrible club culture of overpaid players who have no ambition, with a club president who focuses more on flashy signings over building an actual team. So knowing those things needed to change, Nasser had just a plan and did this.
PSG look to have struck gold once again by adding the 18-year-old Monaco prodigy to their ranks.
220 million euros for Neymar, a world record fee, and Mbappe for 180 million euros. Nearly $500 million on 2 players. These 2 signings on paper might look like the final piece of the puzzle to win the Champions League for PSG, but in reality, these signings were made mainly for the commercial aspect. In fact, Nasser's main talking points in the press conference of the Neymar signing was just how global the club had become, bragging about how 85 million people in Brazil watched the presentation of Neymar being signed. We don't have enough jerseys. The jersey of Paris Saint-Germain is everywhere. Before Neymar, the value of the club was $1 billion. Now it is $1.5 billion. Their social media following was skyrocketing, gaining millions of followers overnight. They revamped their stadium with exclusive VIP seating, which saw some of the most famous people in the world take seats at. They even struck up a massive deal with the Jordan brand to start selling merch all across the world. These signings were never about football. It was about the marketing potential, and just like that, PSG became a globally iconic brand. As for the football, it was a disaster. They did get back to winning ways domestically, winning the treble in the 17-18 season, but I mean, come on. They signed 400 million worth of talent. The Champions League was what everyone was talking about, and lo and behold, they lost in the round of 16 to Real Madrid 5-2. It was a shame that this team of stars couldn't even put up a fight, but what was worse was the squad harmony was non-existent. Dani Alves and Neymar decided to be the de facto leaders of the team, which no one asked, which caused serious rifts among the players. There was the time Dani Alves took the ball out of Cavani's hands to give the free kick taking responsibilities to Neymar, and even when Neymar tried to take a penalty directly off Cavani too. See, Neymar came here to be the star. That means he's the leader, he takes the free kicks and the penalties. Obviously the team wasn't okay with that. No one agreed to it, and when Emery was asked about it, he just told the players to sort it out amongst themselves. Neymar came here with his ego as inflated as could be, and the club let him do whatever he wanted. He was partying till crazy hours, traveling with celebrities, and even got extra days off, which Nasser allowed because anything for the golden boy. A team that already lacked any sort of winning mentality only got worse. Then it spread to Mbappe. Unconvinced by the sporting project, Mbappe from young was already flirting with the idea of playing for Real Madrid. Their time in the Champions League started to grow more concerning. With Tuchel now as head coach, in 2019 PSG played Man United in the round of 16, winning 2-0 at Old Trafford. No team in the history of this competition has ever lost a tie after winning the away leg 2-0. But PSG are different.
So there's a bad ball, here's the chance, it's Lukaku, and he's around the goalkeeper, and he's squeezed it in, and what a start! He's got himself, still by Buffon, oh they've got another one! Oh, he smashed it in! What a penalty from Marcus Rashford!
3 direct mistakes from PSG hand gifting United the win. This was an embarrassment of a loss. They were fragile bottle jobs who lacked the mentality to win anything. There was such a lack of care that Rabiot was seen partying in the nightclub directly after this game. At this point, it felt like nothing was ever going to change for the team. And it didn't. The following year recruitment was still poor. While PSG made some dodgy signings that year, the main focus was on who they let go. Nasser al-Khelaifi always claimed he wanted to grow the youth network in Paris, but quickly abandoned that idea in favour of star power, meaning the youth team was pretty neglected. They sold Weah, Moussa Diaby and Christopher Nkunku, 2 of which are having very solid careers, and Nkunku is turning into a superstar. But this has always been a problem. They let Mike Maignan go for €1 million without even giving him a proper chance, and now he's France's #1. And they let Kingsley Coman go on a free because they refused to give him game time. Neglecting the youth system was a massive destruction of their club and their culture. Look at Barcelona. Their youth system has given them some of the best young talent in the world, but it also builds a culture. These kids grew up playing together, understood what it meant to play for the badge, and have adopted the playing style and mentality of playing for Barca. Something PSG should have been doing the whole time, but instead let youth stars go to accommodate overpaid players who couldn't care less. There was also once again the problem of egos in the squad. With Mbappe and Neymar basically running the team, Tuchel tried his hardest to put his foot down, which led to some pretty heated arguments with Mbappe, fracturing their relationship. This season was cut short though due to COVID. PSG were named early champions of the league, but the Champions League ties still needed to be played. They were going to be one-leg knockouts, all played in Lisbon with no fans. It meant no distractions, no parties. Everyone was here for one thing: football. They made it to the final, beating Atalanta and Leipzig to advance to play Bayern Munich for a chance at the big trophy. This was finally their shot at winning it all, except PSG had just made one too many mistakes. The very same kid they let go on a free came back to haunt them, scoring the only goal in the game as Bayern won 1-0. Neymar was crying, Mbappe was hurt. This truly was their best chance to win it all. The players were all motivated on a level they just never seemed to find since QSI took over. To replicate that same motivation for the next year was gonna be near impossible. Tuchel ended up getting sacked halfway through the next season with some very strong words before his departure. Managing PSG is like being a sports politician. It's difficult to keep players happy, and PSG had many influences that go far beyond the interest of the team. Keeping players in line just seemed impossible. Poch was hired as a replacement to clean up the mess and did the opposite. In the Champions League, they reached the semi-finals and lost to Man City 4-2. But back-to-back semi-finals was a sign that maybe they can actually contend for this trophy. Unfortunately, while focusing on the Champions League, they tanked the league on the season, shockingly losing the title to Lille. And without a league title and only a semi-final to show for the season, PSG felt like they needed one big transfer window to get back to total domination and actually win the Champions League trophy. It was finally time for the board and recruitment to actually get it right.
Du Paris Saint-Germain, Léo!
In 2021, PSG did the unthinkable and signed Lionel Messi on a free in what was considered the greatest transfer window of all time, as they also signed Hakimi, Donnarumma, Sergio Ramos and Gini Wijnaldum, all players to boost the team and brand. This was the final piece of the puzzle. With Messi in the team, they finally had their best ever chance to win the Champions League. But Nasser didn't make this signing because of football. PSG had just become the biggest football brand in the world. Shirt sales, ticket prices, social media following, everything skyrocketed. To have 3 of the 4 most famous footballers on your team, PSG became the most in-demand team overnight. This is what Nasser al-Khelaifi was after. Winning the Champions League was only a mere bonus. At this point though, is there even any point talking about the league anymore? They obviously won it. This is now the point where only the Champions League matters. They came up against Real Madrid in the first round. In the first leg, they actually looked strong. Mbappe scored an outrageous goal to give them the lead into the second leg. A lead they would extend as Mbappe scored again to make it 2-0. PSG were 45 minutes away from a massive win against Los Blancos. But we know PSG are bottle jobs.
Pressure on Donnarumma. Benzema caused in, here's Vinicius, it's Karim. Luka Modric once more. Good ball into Karim Benzema, it's in! Karim.
After the second goal went in, you knew instantly PSG had no fight, no motivation. It's in their DNA to roll over. Immediately after their own kickoff, this happened.
Marquinhos with more defending to he's done it! Karim Benzema again! It's a hat-trick! It's straight!
Watching this in real time, you saw exactly why this club would never see true success. They just gave up there and then, losing the game they had in the palm of their hands. This was the final straw for PSG fans, who wrote a strongly worded letter to the club which sums up everything perfectly. How can you have this mindset that moves mountains when your season begins in February? How can you create a groundbreaking mentality when you play domestic competitions at a minimal pace? How can you have a real sporting project when the squad is just a bunch of stars with little or nothing else? How can the coach be a respected boss in the locker room when he is clearly not the real decision maker? When you're more often seen at Fashion Week than at a meeting with the representatives of your own fans? I mean, damn, PSG fans were pissed, and rightfully so. They were fed up with it all. PSG didn't learn their lesson, thinking uniting a team of superstars meant winning was a stupid idea, but they tripled down. We all knew for a long time Mbappe and Real Madrid were flying with each other. Mbappe's contract expired in 2022, and most, if not everyone, thought Mbappe was going to join Real Madrid on a free transfer. Even Madrid themselves were preparing for him to join. So it was a massive shock when, to start the 22-23 season, PSG announced Mbappe had signed a 2+1 year deal with them. It broke the footballing world. No one saw this coming, and furthermore, people wanted to know how a team with no signs of winning the Champions League convinced the best player in the world to stay on board. Well, first, his deal was worth 70 million euros, plus a 100 million euro signing bonus. Second of all, he was now playing a major role in PSG's decision-making, having a say on transfers, sporting directors, and even managers. He himself basically became the sporting director of the club, and just like that, became the second most influential PSG employee behind Nasser al-Khelaifi. This deal completely messed up the power dynamics in the team. The hierarchy was completely backwards. Christophe Galtier was the new manager and he had no power. Mbappe now had more power than Messi and Neymar combined. Things like Galtier making Mbappe the new vice captain without even telling Kimpembe that his duties were relieved just caused unrest in the squad. Even Neymar and Mbappe started to have beef too, with Romain Molina saying that allegedly their beef was because Mbappe wanted PSG to sell Neymar and he found out about it, which, if it's true, is wild. When Neymar was asked about their relationship, this was his response.
I don't understand.
Relationship with Kylian Mbappe.
With Kylian? I don't.
This utter lack of cohesion in the team was bound to lead to one thing: failure. Yeah, they won the league that year, who cares? In the Champions League, they finished second in their group behind Benfica, meaning they faced Bayern Munich in the round of 16, where the team got washed 3-0, now making it 5 out of the last 7 Champions League exits in the first round. After that loss, Mbappe told the world how he really felt about PSG, and he was right. It's been the same problems for years now, and they didn't fix a thing. Neymar had already checked out mentally, was always injured, and was seen playing poker in Monaco over celebrating with his team when they won the league. And Messi won the World Cup that year, so I doubt he even cared what was going on. This whole thing hit a boiling point, however, when in early May, Messi was pictured in Saudi Arabia endorsing the country while PSG were training. Yes, this was the final straw. PSG had handed him a 2-week suspension and docked his wages. PSG needed to take a stand and show no one is bigger than the club. The fans quickly made their voices heard, as immediately they got outside the club's headquarters and started protesting against Messi, Nasser and Neymar. They even went as far as going to Neymar's house to protest outside there too. It was that moment in which PSG knew something had to change. The fans simply couldn't stand for players who didn't care about the club. No distinct culture was being established and players were treating the club like trash, doing whatever they wanted. Messi had spoken about how much he hated life in Paris for those 2 years, plus by now Neymar was already fed up. The two of them left the club in summer, going to Saudi Arabia and USA to basically go on their retirement tour. PSG needed to finally establish a clear hierarchy again, meaning a manager that cannot be pushed over. The new man in the job was Luis Enrique, a Champions League winner and former Spain manager, had enough credentials to actually have some authority over this team. PSG also adopted a new recruitment strategy. Rather than just getting old washed up players because they're big names, they brought in some young talent who were all 22 years old, plus a few Frenchmen to appease Mbappe. The direction of the club was finally changing. They were bringing in young talent, and with Warren Zaire-Emery, a product of their academy, shining, it showed they were actually focusing on youth. Players actually worked hard in training and on the pitch, looking like they actually wanted to win, which fans clearly appreciated, as they had a newfound energy in this rebuild. The optimism for the future was high, but one question still remained: what happens to Kylian Mbappe? Well, at the start of the year, he told the club he would not renew his contract, which instantly was met with Nasser listing him on the transfer market for £160 million. A price Real Madrid weren't willing to pay when they could just wait for a year and get him for free. It led to Mbappe being exiled by the president, refusing him to play, except according to Mbappe himself, Luis Enrique and sporting director Luis Campos made sure it didn't happen so Nasser couldn't sabotage his career. Mbappe and Nasser were clearly on bad terms. PSG didn't give Mbappe a farewell ceremony despite him being their greatest player in history, and Mbappe didn't mention Nasser in his farewell video, which allegedly led to a massive argument between the two in which screaming was heard. It was a nasty breakup between the two. No doubt Nasser was furious losing his golden gem to his biggest rival Florentino Perez. Nevertheless, Mbappe had one final Champions League campaign to try and win the big prize for his city. Mbappe actually played well in the round of 16 against Sociedad and in the quarterfinals against Barcelona, getting a handful of goals, meaning he managed to reach his third Champions League semi-final. Against the Dortmund team they were expected to beat. They had already done so in the groups and were strong favourites.
This time Hakimi, Nuno Mendes, it will not go in for Paris Saint-Germain. Oh, where are we starting? That was unbelievable.
This was their best chance ever to reach a final, and well, 45 shots over 2 games, 0 goals. Meanwhile, Dortmund took their chances and beat Paris 2-0 over both legs. That's been their story so far, coming up short every single time. Since then, Mbappe has now announced he has joined Real Madrid, and PSG are officially at the end of their superstar era. From a football point of view, it was as bad as it got. It was the epitome of players playing for money and not the badge, not caring whether they win or lose, and spending more in nightclubs than in training. Winning was never really a focus for these guys, but I don't think Nasser truly cared about that. He highlighted 3 goals that he had for the club: to become one of the biggest clubs to win the Champions League and to be worth €1 billion. Well, despite not winning the Champions League, the club is now worth €4.5 billion and is one of the biggest football clubs on the planet. Considering they bought the team for €100 million, I'd say they'd take that as a win. The Champions League was just secondary. They've created a massive marketing entity that is raking them in tons of money and publicity, so is winning truly their main focus? Judging by how they've run this club the last decade, I'd say no. With Messi, Neymar and Mbappe now gone, their global brand is sure to take a hit, and this might be one of their highest peak values. So is it time for QSI to pack it in? Cash in on the huge brand you've created and hand the reins to someone else? Someone who actually prioritizes winning? No, QSI would never do that. They've already grown PSG this much, invested so much into the project, and spent more than any other team in the planet to grow the brand. The truth is, they will probably just make the same mistakes they made last time, buy based on marketing and not winning, and have a never-ending cycle of superstars who don't care about the club and only care about money. They've already turned their domestic league into the most one-sided league on the planet, so who knows? Maybe they learn from their mistakes, or maybe history is doomed to repeat itself. If you've made it this far and want to support the videos, leave a like and subscribe to help grow the channel. Thanks.